Hello guys, welcome to another video here, and today we're going to be talking about JWT, basically JSON Web Tokens. We're going to understand what it is, how it's being used, and basically we would, at the end of the video, would use the information we've learned to solve a question on PICO CTF. Alright, now, so what exactly is JSON Web Token? So JSON Web Token, JWT, is an open standard RFC 7519 that defines a compact and self-contained way for securing and transmitting information between parties as a JSON object. JSON, which is JavaScript object notation, basically. Now, this information can be verified and trusted because it is digitally signed. Okay, now that's the basic difference, right? Now, JWT can be signed using a secret, which is a secret algorithm or private key. Usually those algorithms can be HMAC. We have different types of them. We can also sign them with a private key or public key using RSA or ECDSA. Okay, now although JWTs can be encrypted to also provide secrecy between parties, we will focus on signed tokens. Now, signed tokens can verify the integrity of the claim contained within it, while encrypted tokens hide those claims from other parties. Now, when tokens are signed using public or private key pairs, the signature also certifies that only the party holding the private key is the one that signed it. Now, when should you use JSON Web Tokens? Here are some scenarios where JSON Web Tokens are useful. One is authorization. This is the most common scenario for using JWT. Once the user is logged in, each subsequent request will include the JWT. We'll see that in one of the basic CTF we're going to solve today. So basically now, this once the user is logged in, each subsequent request will include the JWT, allowing the user to access routes, services, and resources that are permitted with that token. Now, single sign-on is a feature that widely uses JWT nowadays because of its small overhead and its ability to be easily used across different domains. Another important scenario where JSON Web Tokens are useful is information exchange. So JSON Web Tokens are a good way of securely transmitting information between parties because JWTs can be signed, for example, using public or private key pairs. You can be sure the senders are who they are or who they say they are. Additionally, as the signature is calculated using the header and the payload, which you're going to see soon, you can also verify that the content hasn't been tampered with. Now, let's look at the JSON Web Token structure. In its compact form, JSON Web Tokens consist of three separated parts, or parts separated by dots, okay, which are one, the header, the payload, and the signature. A quick example of it is something like this. This is how the JSON Web Token looks like. Alright, it is separated with two dots actually. There are three parts but separated with two dots. Now, let's look at it. Looks like this: XSS, YY, XSS, ZZZ, something like this now. Okay, now let's further break this down. So what is the header? The header typically consists of two parts: the type of the token, which is JSON Web Token, and the signing algorithm being used, such as the HMAC, SHA-256, or RSA. A quick example again is, if you come over here, you can see different algorithms. You see the HMAC type, HHH, the RS, and so on. These are different algorithms, and this is the header we're talking about, right? Which contains the type of token, JWT, as you can see, and the other type, the other thing is the algorithm being used. Here, which is in this case is HS256 and so on. So basically, this is what the header is. Okay, now basically they are usually encoded in base 64 URL. Now the payload, the second part of the token is the payload, which contains the claims. Claims are like statements about the entity, typically the user, and additional data. There are three types of claims: registered, public, and private claims. Now let's look at them and then we'll give example. A quick example of the payload is what we see here. Payload can contain something like this: sub name, sometimes the name can be user, the name can be admin. Another example is something here: payload name, admin, if it's true or false. This is more like what the payload contains, which is the claims. All right, now back to the three types of claims we have the first one, which is the registered claims. They are a set of predefined claims which are not mandatory but recommended to provide a set of useful interoperable claims. Some of them are issuer, which is ISS, EXP, expiration time, subjects, and audience, and others. Notice that the claim names are only 3 characters long, as JWT is meant to be compact. Okay, that's how it's done. ISS, issuer, expiration date, and so this is how registered claims look like. Now, public claims, these can be defined at will by those using JWTs, but to avoid collisions, they should be defined in the IANA JSON Web Token registry, or be defined as a URL that contains a collision-resistant namespace. We'll not go deep into that today. Private claims, these are custom claims created to share information between parties that agree on using them, and they are neither registered or public claims. So example of payloads, we've seen that sub, name, admin, and so on. The payload is then base 64 URL encoded to form the second part of the JSON web format, just like the first one, which is our header. So header, payload, and lastly signature. Okay, to create the signature part, you have to take the encoded header. The encoded payload is secret, the algorithm specified in the header, and then sign that. For example, if you want to use the HMAC SHA-256 algorithm, which is H256 in this case, the signature will be created in the following way. The signature will be created using this, which is the algorithm, which is in brackets actually the base 64 URL encoded one, plus a period, then a base 64 URL encoded payload, and then a secret. The 3 of them will now make up the signature. Now, the signature is used to verify the message wasn't changed along the way, and in the case of tokens signed with a private key, it can also verify that the sender of the JWT is who it says it is. And putting it all together, the output is 3 base 64 URL strings separated by dots that can be easily parsed in HTML and HTTP environments, while being more compact when compared to XML based standards such as XAML. The following shows a JWT that has the previous header and payload encoded, and it is signed with a secret. So this is how it looks like. We're going to see that in action today, and then if you want to play around with this, you can. I'm going to put this particular URL in the video so you can read more. I also maybe have part 2 to this video, so we can dive more into things like how JSON Web Tokens work. With that being said, now let's quickly just this is just an example. Let's quickly now solve a challenge. Okay, there's a challenge here on PICO CTF named JAuth. Yeah, JAuth. Look at it here. It's a medium challenge web exploitation. So let's click on that and quickly solve that. Now, the description here says most web application developers use third-party components without testing their security. Some of the past affected companies are the Equifax, a US credit bureau organization. There was a breach due to an unpatched Apache Struct web framework. We also have this paper law firm that was breached due to unpatched version of the Dropper CMS used. And we also have Vertical Scope Company. It was an internet media company, outdated version of the V-Bulletin forum software used. Now, can you identify the component and exploit the vulnerable one? Additional details will be available after launching your challenge instance. So let's launch that. Alright, our instance is launching, so let's wait a second. Alright, our instance is ready. Now the website is running here, which I'll right click here and open, and it said, can you become an admin? You can log in as test with the password test123 to get started. So this is the website. It says, welcome to our bank. We value all our customers. Please log in your username and password. In this case, I could let's log in with actually what they provided, which is test and test123, capital letter T, EST 123, and then an exclamation mark, and then we log in. Don't save. hello, you have logged in the testing page. There is nothing to see here. Log out. Now basically, because we are talking about JAuth, to actually see those tokens, we want to Control Shift I to let me enlarge this a little bit. Okay, now Control Shift I will take us to this web developers tool. And basically, if you just Control Shift I, you should start with the inspector. It's just that I've already been using this under storage, so it will automatically take me to the last pane that I have been. So if it takes you to inspector, you just come over here to storage, because we are interested in the cookies, which is where the token is. Okay, now under these cookies, we see this name is token, and we see the value. Now from what we've learned today, if we copy this token and come over, let me open up something here. If I paste that token, what did you notice? We can notice that we learned about JWT, which is showing us 3 base U64 URL encoded strings separated with dots. So we'll have 1, and then we'll have 2 over here, and then we'll have 3. So from this, we now understand that this first one here is what? Is the header. The second one here is what? Is the payload. And the last one here is the signature. So in order for us to solve this challenge, we want to debug this token and then see what we can manipulate. So minimize this. We'll come over to, you can actually use JSON Web Token, this one, JWT.io to do it over here, but I would use JWT debugger, which is under at token.dev. Alright, now I'm going to come over to the JW string here, Control A, Control V, I'm pasting the one we just copied. Okay, now from what I just pasted, you can see we have our header, and we see that the type is JWT, and they're using an algorithm which is HST56. Our payload contains an auth number, an agent, which is a user agent, a role which says we are a user. If you remember, we are a user here. And then we have an IAT. These are more part of, this is the claims, right? Now, and lastly, we have the signing key here, it's signature. Simply to just solve this challenge, we're going to manipulate a couple of things here. First, starting with the header, we want to change this algorithm type to none. If we say none, that means we'll be able to take out our signing key at the end. But when we say none, it means it will read the algorithm type as none. Over here, we want to see the role changed from user to something else. Why? Because the challenge says, can we become an admin? So I'll come over here and change our user to admin. And then lastly, I want to take out this sign-in key, the whole of it. I'm taking it out, so there's no signature. So we can manipulate and see if we can log in here. So yeah, I can see over here the algorithm already changed this to none. Now if we copy out this key, it might not work. Why? Because now we have the JSON format has to be a form where we have the header separated by a period with the payload, then there's one more period to separate the signature. So this doesn't look like the structure anymore. But if we put a period now, and even though there's no signature, it also means the signature is empty, so which makes the structure complete. So we'll copy this now. Now what does this mean? This means that this particular JWT string that I copied is now having my header as none and my payload role here as admin with no signature, which means we can come back over here, and under our token, I'm going to change this token now to the token we just manipulated and hit enter. Then we'll come over here and then refresh. Once we refresh, you see we are now admin and we have our CTF result. So come over here and paste that in here, and then we submit, and voila. So today we just treated JSON Web Tokens, and we've used that to solve a challenge here, and it is important because you can also try this one. I might do it in the next video. JAWT is also a video, a challenge that involves manipulating JSON Web Tokens. So thank you guys for studying with me today. Thank you for learning with me. I'll see you guys in another video, and enjoy. Ciao.